Now we are going to continue our exploration of differentiated instruction, and more specifically, look at how this applies to you in your teaching practice. Failure is not an option. You are required to do everything you possibly can to support the students, guide them through any struggles until they eventually make it through. If failure is not an option, then some students are going to get more support and others less. Others still may not require any supports and can be left to their own devices. Is that fair? Maybe, maybe not. Let's look at this more closely. Teaching can be thought along the same lines as doctoring. Each patient that presents themselves will have different symptoms. Each student in the classroom will have a range of problems, issues, and challenges. The roles are the same. Kids go to the doctor with different needs. I scraped my knee. My tummy hurts. I think I broke my arm. I have a cough. What if the doctor said to all of them, "Here's some cough medicine"? The doctor would be treating them all the same way, but would not be addressing their issues. Naturally, this would be unacceptable, right? When only one kid gets the right treatment, that is not fair. Not fair to the others. Every student has different needs. One may have trouble focusing beyond 15 minutes. Another thinks better when his hands are busy. The next one can more easily talk about what she knows compared to writing about it. And yet another student struggles to hold a pen or a pencil. Each of them will have different needs. Each of these needs requires different supports to help them succeed. That's what makes a classroom fair for everyone. Consider what kinds of supports you use every day. You will have your own supports. The kind of supports I use on a daily basis includes interpreting services, technology, and the right lighting is important to my work. I use a number of different supports in order to get my work done. Let's examine some of the narratives around supports. When I was a student, under the old disability framework, students were put into mainstream settings, and it was pretty much up to the student. Sink or swim for your life. That's the environment I grew up in. No additional supports were provided. For me, there were no interpreters, no note takers, no FM system. I sat in the classroom and had to figure out how to swim hard enough to keep my head above water. I did everything I could not to drown. Was that fair? Back then, the narrative was that I had to become hearing, so supports wouldn't be provided. We couldn't even ask. Passing as a hearing person was the top priority. That's the narrative I was taught. Another narrative was shaming, the culture of shame. So many of the students coming into my grade 9 class were thoroughly embarrassed they had to use an FM system. Likewise, they felt ashamed that interpreting services were needed. Where did those feelings come from? From us, our culture of shame that we put on students for failing to do without supports. That culture is alive and well today. Why do we shame students who require supports? Judge students who don't function like their peers? There is the narrative that supports are a crutch. Crutches should only be temporary. Students are expected to let go of their crutches at some point in the future. They are supposed to overcome their disability. There are multiple narratives that reinforce the culture of shame and the use or need for supports. Then there's the narrative that we must do more to earn our privilege. We are not considered equal to our peers. We have to work harder and achieve more in order to potentially be considered as an equal. I can attest to that. I have had to face that narrative. People in my circle, colleagues in the educational system, considered me as lower than themselves. I realized if I had earned 5 PhDs, their opinion of me would never change. We are constantly made to feel we must do more in order to prove our worthiness, whether it's earning a degree, an income, or any other status marker. And even when we do, we're still not equal. Academic failure has a lifelong effect in closing doors to future opportunities in post-secondary, employment, income, and so on. There are many barriers for those who don't do well in school.